Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Carvel Community Meeting. Today's date is March 31st, 2022. If you're watching this recording on our YouTube channel, we welcome you to come join us live. We meet every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. It's just an opportunity for you to come and meet other members of the community, meet the maintainers, listen in what we are working on. You can ask questions, provide feedback. If you have anything that you need help with any of the Carvel tools, and you would like to have some live discussion on it, it's a great way to do that. Otherwise, you can find us on our Kubernetes Slack workspace channel and the Carvel channel, or on Twitter at Carvel_dev. At any point that you're interacting with us or any members of the community, we ask that you please read and abide by our code of conduct. And if you are using any of the Carvel tools, we would like to know how you're using it. So we've created this pinned issue right here. And it just asks you to provide a few details on yourself and your use case of the Carvel tools. And if you wish to provide a logo, the logo for your organization that you may be representing, you can add that, and we'll add it in the adopters file on our repo here. But that is totally optional. What we would really love is just to know, how are you using it? It helps us to develop the tools a little bit better, knowing how others are using any of the tools. And for anyone that's joined us to the meeting, please add your name to the attendee list and any organization that you represent here. For anyone who does have any discussion topics for this meeting, please do add that to the area down here below in the agenda, the discussion topic section, and we'll get to it towards the end of this meeting. As far as announcements goes, we have for content this week, we have the Ytt Overlay Primer. And this is a blog post by John Ryan. He's one of our Ytt maintainers. And John, do you want to give a little bit more insight into this?
Yeah, sure, Nancy. Yeah, so this is just a little a leg up here. If you've been digging into Ytt, like pretty quickly, you find that you want to use overlays. And then, I don't know, when I first did that, I was pulling my hair out. So I was hoping to help folks have a healthier head of hair by showing a few of the things that like I've learned along the way. That like if you just knew that that can really help. So it's a screencast style thing because it's more useful, I think, to see this stuff a little bit more in a dynamic, see how things evolve and what the changes, how they affect the output. So yeah, it's like 7 different use cases kind of folded into one. It's a little journey. We get to walk someone along the way of developing their like a kind of make-believe deployment and what they would use overlays for and what that would look like and how to debug them, how to read them, stuff like that. So yeah, hope it helps out and makes that part of the journey a little bit easier and accelerate your learning and get you back to the point where you're being productive with the tool. That's our goal.
Do we have a way to YouTube embed that? Because I had to try like 3 times to figure out which one was the YouTube video.
Cool. Yeah, we can mark it, like make it more obvious that the video is the last link. Is that what you're saying?
Or
Okay.
embed it to where it just shows the video itself. And
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
If
and
I
they
were
have
to
to go to
pull
a
this up
separate
on my
link.
phone or something, I'm probably not going to click any of these links. And then I might just
Gotcha.
move on to the next piece of content.
Cool. Yeah, we'll totally do that. Awesome.
All right. Thanks, John. And thanks, Lee, for pointing that out. Okay, upcoming, we have Garrett parameterizing your project configuration with Ytt. Yeah, anything to be expected there? Is it going to be a blog post or video?
It'll be
it'll be a blog post, and it'll be just a very simple, I have YAML and I have an app, and I want to make it more customizable and scalable with YTT. So how would one get started doing that? So very simple getting started kind of blog.
Awesome. Thanks, Garrett. So for content, you know, the team is pumping out some stuff, things that they're passionate about, things that they want to share regarding Carvel. But it's not just limited to the maintainers here. We would love to know how the community is using Carvel and any ways that they want to share their use cases. So, you know, how are you using Carvel with any other tools that are out there? And you want to write a blog post or share a demo, anything that you're comfortable with. We have this sign up sheet on the repo that you can add your name to and the topic that you're going to be covering, what type of medium you're going to be sharing that information in. And if you wish to have your Twitter handle tagged on when we promote it through Twitter, you can add that here too. If there's a future date that you have in mind and it's not listed on this table, feel free to add more rows and add that date in that you would like to share that information. And for anyone who isn't a maintainer and is going to be participating in this, we would love to send you a t-shirt or any other type of Carvel swag that we have. So once you fill it out, I'll reach out and get your information and share that, send you that swag as a thank you. Looks like we had some content added here. So Lee, I'm assuming that was you. You want to go over what to expect with this Tanzu Tuesday?
Yeah, Tiffany and I were talking last night, and I want to do a Tanzu Tuesday that just features a little bit of usage of Vendor and YTT together, problem solving for like cloud native use cases, and also more general things, right? Like it's not just Kubernetes, but I think that spending an hour, you know, talking about what makes using these tools together so powerful is some good content. And I just realized that I was totally missing an opportunity to like bring it up here, like that blog post that John that you posted, like that's some content that I should probably like point people to. And is there anything else that I should point people at? Some particular examples. I know there's the Kubernetes YTT library that could be a good resource for people as well. But, just wanted to get some feedback if there's particular things that you want the end users and practitioners to hear in like a hour-long Twitch stream.
Yeah, I imagine the team might have some stuff that just, unless they have something right off the top of the head that you want to share. But that's super cool that y'all are going to be doing that.
Yeah, I'll definitely point out that blog post and the Kubernetes library. So just trying to think of ways to mix up some content and then and help people discover these tools a little bit. So
yeah, awesome. Thank you. Okay, moving on to releases. We didn't have any releases this week. Is there anything coming up for releases next week? Any of the tools, anything that we think are going to be released next week?
I know that image package is going to be released next week. There's a problem with the last two builds that we made a change, and now when you're trying to mount a blog into two repositories in the same registry, it is failing. So we know that that's an issue. There's an open issue there. Now we're working on solving it. So you should expect to release the next couple of days.
Oh, anything else? Moving on to status updates, project roadmap. How are things looking here? Any updates? Progress?
No changes. I don't know, Rainer, if there's anything on your side.
I should actually put in something about kapp-controller CLI that we are working on, which is the app status and all more details probably. That's what we are working on, and hopefully by end of this month we'll have that in place. End of this month, as in I'm already in April, in my mind. So yeah.
End of April?
End of April.
Okay. Yeah, whenever I saw March 31st as today's date, I was like, how? I thought we've already gone through March. Thank you for sharing. Okay, moving on to our backlog items. Okay, so we have YTT. Anyone want to share what's going on there?
Yeah, I can. Not much to say here, just providing an update from the last community meetings. There's been a completed story for allowing Windows paths in data values file flags. So this is only a change for the data values file flag. So it allows colons in the file path now.
Okay, anything else? Sorry.
This pull request 399, the draft on modularity in YTT, when to use Starlark modules, data values, or a private library is really interesting to me. And I was talking with Rupa and Dimitri yesterday about some of the other types of guide content that we're working on. I think Carrie, you and John are kind of like focused on this guides kind of story right now, right?
It's primarily me. Me and Barsha worked on it a bit though in the past. Okay. But yeah, I'm definitely curious if you have any thoughts on it or questions.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this a little bit more. Maybe we can like set up a working session or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. I can reach out to you after the meeting.
Sweet. Yeah.
Cool.
Great. Okay, moving on to Kctrl app commands status.
So we have been hammering the features we've been talking about for a while into shape, like the ones which sort of help users observe apps better. So that's what that's about. So I was actually hoping to sort of give a sneak preview of sorts into what we've been working on. So yeah, if there are no other updates, maybe you can do that.
Yeah, there doesn't appear to be any other updates unless others have something they need to share that isn't on here. You want me to stop sharing my screen?
Yep, that'll be good.
Okay. There you go.
Give me a sec. Just let me know if someone wants me to like sort of reduce or increase the font size. Right, so just a little bit of context. So some pain points that we were trying to address with the status command was that while users were waiting for apps to reconcile or waiting for package installs to reconcile, and let's say an installation fails, they don't really, their first instinct is not to sort of look at the app CLs that are created by package installs or sort of get the package installs entire resource to look at the useful error message. And we sort of wanted to give the user better observability into what's actually going on when an app or a package installation is reconciling. So yeah, that's what this is about. So if I quickly share the app we'll be using to demo, it's a pretty straightforward app. It pulls an image package bundle. We hash the image references using Carvel and deploy it. As to what's bundled inside the app, it is just a simple job, and all it does is it sleeps for 15 seconds and calls it a day.
Are you
And
sharing Somik
Yeah, but-
with
I'm sorry, you cannot.
the
my
terminal?
screen?
Your terminal
Oh,
window.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. Just give me a sec. Okay. Is it here now?
There's a terminal window that says app demo is the prompt.
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's
I'm
empty.
guessing
Is
that's
that
the
right?
right
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep, there you go.
So yeah, that's the app that I was talking about. It's pretty straightforward. We pull a bundle, we template it with Carvel, so that's to hash the image references and deployed using kapp. And the underlying bundle looks something like this: a job which sleeps for 15 seconds and then it sort of finishes successfully. So if we were to observe the app status, we would do something like kctrl app status -a sleepy app. We're going to call it sleepy app. This is the command which sort of helps us tail the progress the app is making. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy the app first. Sleepy app, and that's the config. Yeah. After deploying it, so the status will sort of start tailing the information kapp-controller surfaces in the resource status, and it tries to give like a sort of a kapp-like experience where it waits for the appcr or appcr created by a package install to reach its reconciled state, and then it exits successfully. And if there's an error in the middle somewhere, it exits then and there and surfaces the error so that the user can actually see what went wrong, right? So as you can see, we show that we're fetching from this location that we templated successfully. And then as and when kapp-controller sort of updates the deploy status, we also surface that information to the user. So this sort of, instead of seeing that the app is reconciling, the user actually sees what the app is doing while reconciling. If I were to quickly show what it looks like if it breaks, I'm gonna go ahead and break the app. I think I'll just malform the URL so that it fails at the fetch stage. Oh, actually, before you do that, so now that the app has reconciled, if the user was to run the status command again, they would see something like this, where we say that these stages were done these many seconds ago. So we don't see anything here right now because it reconciled again and there were no changes. So yeah, that's how it looks like once the app has reconciled. So I'm gonna do this. Right. So if I were to do the same thing now, it sort of stops at the fetch stage itself. And the experience will be exactly the same if the user was tailing the app status and something goes wrong in the middle, so that they sort of know what exactly is going wrong, like why exactly the app has failed. And yeah, so actually that's about it. Like, it would be great to get some early feedback on this. We're still playing around with the information we want to surface and sort of tweaking the output a little bit, but the final product is going to be pretty similar to this. Like, yeah, that's about it.
This is really nice. I love the use of coloring in the output, which makes it and it's so much more concise than like using Kctl describe, especially with some of the ergonomic issues that are there with CRDs right now. Is all of the information just basically a pretty print of the things that are available in the app object, like in the status field? So there's nothing like tailing logs from the controller here or stuff, right?
Nothing. We just sort of putting it in a more legible manner.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I like it a lot. That's really cool. And I think it's like a smart architectural choice to not like get information from anywhere else other than the Kubernetes API.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you, Mike.
this probably would tie up into package statuses also, Samik.
Yeah. So right now, if the user were to install a package, what they see is that the package is getting reconciled till the package reconciles, right? So we are hoping to sort of plug this mechanism into most of the commands we have where we're waiting for something to happen. So if when a package is getting installed, we would probably show what the underlying app CR is doing instead of just saying that the package is reconciling. If a package is getting deleted, oh, I'm so sorry, package install is getting deleted, we will tail the deploy logs and sort of show the deletion process. So if the delete fails for a resource, right, the user can see then and there which resource did not get deleted or couldn't get deleted, right? They don't have to figure out what they have to do to debug their app CRs or package installs. So yep, that's what we are planning to do. And if anyone does want the binary to sort of play around with this feature and given some early feedback, that'll be really great. Like, more than happy to share the binary.
Has there been any talk of also making this possible to just exec as a kubectl plugin? I don't know if that would improve the usability at all, but maybe having this available in the crew package manager might make it more discoverable for people, even if it means they have to type another like word.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we've explored that yet, but yep, that could be pretty interesting.
And I think like the amount of engineering work to make it happen would be really minimal. And you wouldn't need to change basically anything about the CLI, but it's just like one way to distribute it that might be, you know, attractive for folks.
Yeah, it's the crew package manager is great for doing things like this. And I think that if it goes into crew, one other command that could be very helpful that a lot of the things like the RabbitMQ crew plugin or the cert manager plugin do is there's actually an install subcommand that would install kapp-controller. So someone could do a kubectl, Kctrl, or whatever it is, install, and that would install kapp-controller. Similar to how it's done with like RabbitMQ, which installs the RabbitMQ operator. It just makes discoverability and getting started a really smooth experience. And Crew provides the baseline GitHub actions to just update Crew's index with any new release. That makes it really easy. They have a template that you can just utilize for yourself, and it's really easy to add there.
It makes me wonder if we should also distribute the kapp CLI that way. So that's a really interesting thought, and I learned some things from your context as well there, Scott.
Yeah, I have 72 plugins installed on my machine. I go every day through the Crew index and see what's new, because they're just really beneficial.
72?
Indeed.
Wow. So one for every hour of your day.
Yeah, pretty much.
I do not have that many. I think I have like 11. No, on this machine, I only have seven Crew plugins installed. So you're about 10 times more hardcore than me, Scott.
The best new one that I just found is one that can generate a scaffolded CRD for you based off an open API schema's defaults for any CRD. It can generate just the bare bones YAML for you for like a default of any CRD that has an open API schema. So if you want to see like CRE YAML, CRE
YAML, interesting. Because I'm often doing like kubectl create dry run, and that doesn't support all types. So that's nice.
Exactly. That one, that's a really good one that I just started to use a lot. That's really beneficial. Or exporter, EKS Sporter, that tears out all of the managed fields and status and things that you don't want when you're exporting something.
I use kubectl neat for that, but it does like the same thing. Exactly. You can like kneat get and that kind of thing. This does actually remind me of something YTT adjacent that I don't know enough about, like language servers and like the like parse grammars and stuff for to be super able to solve this problem. But the Cree-YAML use case of like being able to author custom resources in your editor, like that's one way to go and get a blob that you can copy and paste into a file. Sounds super useful, right? But I use the Kubernetes plugin on VS Code. And when it works, it's able to actually go and get the OpenAPI dump from the Kubernetes API server and then feed the Red Hat YAML plugin. And that gives you autocomplete inside of your editor for Kubernetes objects. And it works really great for custom resources and stuff. As soon as I switch over to the YTT and Starlark grammars, this autocomplete for YAML fields no longer functions. And I'd be really keen on making it function because it's a very important thing for like authoring correct objects. It's like if you like put a field name at the wrong indentation layer inside of a YTT overlay or something, then, and you don't have like other tools in your build pipeline, you're not going to find that error until you deploy, which could be like 16 minutes from now, and then like a 3-minute process to go and get to that error. So I think this like auto-completing of fields from the OpenAPI spec is like a really important editor completion story. And right now, the only workaround that I have is to change from the, like I use a .ytt.yaml extension in my editor config, so I can like differentiate my YTT overlays from my YAML configs so that I get like a different syntax highlighting experience. And it'd be really nice if that part of the YAML experience was also in the YTT experience, so that I don't have to like switch my language protocol like in order to get those field auto completions. It also just doesn't work sometimes because not all YTT overlays are valid YAML files. So then like it breaks the YAML parser. Like if you have values that are comments, then you end up with invalid YAML because like you're interpolating data values and stuff. So the YAML parser breaks and then the auto completion breaks. It'd be nice if there was if we could use the same methods here to autocomplete the keys, since the YTT parser knows where those things are.
Yeah, we've wanted to have an LSP implementation for like a couple years now, and it's been yeah, it's a little bit of a lift to get started with that, but it would be amazing to be able to fold in both the type information that we do have available. So if YTT could digest, can accept OpenAPI v3 schema, it already has a way of representing types internally and understands what's going on in that whole file. That, yeah, we could absolutely provide auto completion, not just for the structure, but like also for globals that are available, other functions that are in the
Data
library.
values.
Like it'd be amazing. Yeah. But yeah, we just haven't had it bubble it compared to the other things that we've addressed so far. But we've been absolutely open and would eagerly support that kind of effort.
Is there someone from the engineering team or from the community who has the LSP experience? Or is that like someone we need to go find to go and attack that problem?
I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I haven't done it yet. And we had someone in a sister team attempt it, and like they got started, but they didn't have time to come up with even a first iteration.
I see. Yeah, I imagine that it's like one of those niche things where if you don't know about grammars and about the particular like interfaces to implement, then it would probably take like months just to get started.
Yep. it is that.
Okay. Who wrote the YTT highlighter that works in VS Code right now that like has some basic functionality? That thing is super useful because it allows the Starlark stuff to work.
Yeah, was that Eli? Do you remember that, Aaron?
Yeah, I think Eli did. So can reach out to him on Slack.
Sweet. Well, thanks for listening to my diatribe about ergonomics.
No, absolutely. It's like something near and dear to hearts. That's a pain point for us as well. I mean, it is definitely a thing we would love to make. We've got lots of room to make improvement there and want to do it. So appreciate the perspective as well.
I just I imagine that if we had this level of integration with an active Kubernetes cluster, then you might get some real usability gains over similar tooling like JSONet, Tonka, Starlark, Q. Like that feature inside of the Red Hat YAML like autocomplete plugin that bridges the open API spec from the Kubernetes plugin, it's just really so much nicer than a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good pointer. And it speaks to like, if you take a structural perspective on managing these files, like if you like, instead of trying to getting away from YAML, like embrace the fact that you're in YAML, then these kind of things are more possible. Yeah. Should talk more. Maybe there's a way that we can find a way of carving out some of this, or maybe I know that those plugins can work in layers. So I wonder if there's a way of like getting an increment so you can continue to have that autocomplete experience. And
there definitely may be a way to do that. Because like if the grammar that's inside of the existing YTT plugin already can identify a key, then you're already like half of the way there. Then it's just finding the proper call from the Red Hat plugin or copying some code from the Red Hat plugin and then sourcing the open API definition from the Kubernetes plugin.
nice.
Or copying code.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This feature is like my favorite feature of the Kubernetes plugin, and it's also the most annoying one because there is it happens heuristically and automatically in the background. And there's like 15 issues open on the Kubernetes plugin repo because it's very unreliable. Like it doesn't work well in remote editor environments. Like if you're using native VS Code where all this, like the VS Code server is running like on your machine, it seems to like be pretty reliable. But as soon as you're like execing into WSL or over an SSH connection or using VS Code from the browser, for some reason, whatever loop they're running to grab the open API spec from the Kubernetes cluster that you're attached to seems to like only work nebulously. Like after you've been inside the project for a couple of hours, if you do something weird, then maybe it goes and pulls a spec, when it would really nice if you could just like Control-Shift-P and then like run a command that goes and pulls that thing. Or even if you knew where the file location was to like drop it manually yourself. So it's like really a bad, unreliable, leaky abstraction for such a powerful and essential feature. So there's sort of an other story there where it's like, I would really like for that to be fixed. And I want to know what is necessary to go and fix it, because it's probably a trivial thing if you have the context. So maybe if we just copied that code and made it better inside of the YTT plugin, then you wouldn't depend at all on the Kubernetes or Red Hat YAML ones. And then you could just own your destiny. But, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stop talking. Does anyone else have anything that they wanted to talk about?
We got about 4 minutes left. Thank you, Lee. I really appreciate all the insight and input that you have. It's super helpful.
I want the tools to be really good. They're already really good. So
yeah, and that's why I love your feedback, because you get to play around with it, and you have all these other tools that you work with alongside of it. So you have a whole other way of viewing it, and it's super helpful. Yeah, anybody else have any comments to what Lee said, or anything else they want to share? Okay, well, thanks everyone for attending today's edition of the Carvel community meeting. If you are watching this from home, again, please come and join us live. We'd love to meet you and hear your thoughts on things. If you have any feedback you wish to provide for any of the stuff that you saw here today, please come find us in Slack and share your thoughts, or you can attend the next meeting, which is next week. Otherwise, find us on Twitter or anything like that, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks.